In every corner of the world, there are secrets, stories that exist beyond understanding. Tonight, we uncover three terrifying haunted tales: the last guests of the dead resort, the infinite office of the dead, the platform where the crew still works. This is episode 165 of Dynamic Dark. Put on your headphones and let the fear begin. Today's first story is the last guests of the dead resort. Deep in a forgotten coastal region, surrounded by endless ocean and abandoned roads, there was a luxury resort city that once welcomed thousands of guests from around the world. Known for its massive hotel towers, private villas, entertainment zones, and world-class facilities, it was considered a paradise for travelers. But everything changed on one mysterious night. Without any warning, the entire resort suddenly shut down. Thousands of guests, workers, and staff members disappeared without leaving behind any explanation. The authorities searched the area, but the truth behind the incident was never discovered. Years later, three explorers, Ethan Carter, Ryan Walker, and Sophia Miller, decided to enter the abandoned resort and uncover the dark mystery hidden inside. As they stepped through the forgotten gates, they had no idea that the resort was not empty. Something was still living inside. The three explorers carefully stepped inside the main hotel tower. Behind the counters stood dead receptionists, staring forward with lifeless faces as if they were still waiting to check in new guests. Ryan noticed dead hotel staff quietly cleaning the marble floors, while skeleton workers wandered through the endless hallways, continuing their forgotten routines. Then Sophia looked toward the elevators and whispered something that made everyone stop. Multiple 7-foot-tall humanoid black featureless ghosts were silently moving through the hotel, operating elevators, carrying luggage, unlocking room doors, and continuing the duties of a hotel that should have been empty. It wasn't an abandoned hotel anymore. It was still welcoming guests from another world. After leaving the hotel tower, Ethan, Ryan, and Sophia followed a long marble corridor that led to the resort's grand dining hall. As the enormous doors slowly opened, they were greeted by one of the most horrifying scenes they had ever witnessed. The gigantic hall, built to serve thousands of guests, was still filled with people. Dead visitors sat quietly around countless dining tables, frozen in the middle of their final meal. Skeletons remained seated with dusty plates, broken glasses, and rusted cutlery still arranged in front of them, as if nobody had ever left their seats. At the far end of the hall, a group of 7-foot-tall humanoid black featureless ghosts stood on a grand stage, slowly playing violins that echoed through the silent room. Around the tables, other black ghosts moved like hotel waiters, calmly serving food to the dead guests. No one spoke. No one looked away. The entire dinner had continued for years, waiting for its next living guests to take a seat. After leaving the grand dining hall, the explorers followed a dark hallway that led deep into the resort's massive entertainment zone. As they entered, they realized something was terribly wrong. The celebration inside the resort had never stopped. The abandoned cinema halls were still occupied. Dead visitors and skeletons sat silently in their seats, watching unknown movies playing on flickering screens. Their lifeless bodies remained frozen, as if they were trapped in the final moments of their lives. In the gaming areas, black featureless ghosts and skeletons continued playing old forgotten games. The indoor attractions were filled with dead guests frozen in endless entertainment, while strange sounds echoed through the empty halls. At the center of the entertainment zone, giant screens displayed mysterious footage from the resort's final night. The explorers watched in horror as the same endless celebration continued again and again, a night that was never supposed to end. Ghost fire. Beyond the towering hotel buildings was the resort's private villa area, once reserved for the richest guests. As the explorers entered the abandoned villas, they discovered a terrifying mystery hidden inside. The luxurious rooms were completely silent, but signs of the missing residents were still everywhere. The villas looked frozen in time, as if the guests had disappeared in the middle of their lives, leaving behind an unanswered mystery. But the real horror was waiting outside. The private swimming pools were not empty. Inside the crystal-clear water, tall black featureless ghosts were swimming normally like regular swimmers. They moved through the pools calmly, diving, floating, and enjoying the water as if the resort was still open. The explorers watched in fear as these black ghosts continued the same activities the guests once enjoyed. The luxury villa area was no longer a paradise, it had become a place where the dead continued their endless vacation. Ghost fire. After exploring the entire resort, the explorers finally uncovered the horrifying truth hidden behind the abandoned walls. The resort was never truly abandoned, it was still operating for the guests who never left. Every hotel room remained prepared. Every restaurant continued serving meals. Every entertainment zone kept running. The entire resort was still alive, but only for the dead guests trapped inside. The missing residents were not gone. They had become part of an endless vacation that continued year after year. The black ghosts, the dead visitors, and the forgotten guests were all trapped in a never-ending cycle of luxury and celebration. As the explorers finally escaped the resort, they looked back one last time. The darkness disappeared, and the entire resort began glowing again. Thousands of black ghosts and dead guests returned to their activities, continuing their endless vacation, waiting for the next visitors to arrive. Today's second story is the Infinite Office of the Dead. In the center of a forgotten business district stood a massive corporate tower known as the Infinite Office Complex. The skyscraper had hundreds of floors and was once home to thousands of employees working day and night. But one mysterious night, every worker inside the building disappeared without leaving any explanation. The company was permanently shut down, the offices were abandoned, and the tower remained empty for years. Rumors spread that something impossible had happened inside the endless office floors. Years later, a team of 3 explorers entered the massive corporate tower to uncover the truth behind the disappearance. The team included Daniel Brooks, Michael Carter, and Alex Turner. As they stepped inside the abandoned building, they had no idea that the office was still waiting for its employees to return. As the explorers went deeper into the office floors, they discovered something that should have been impossible. The building was not empty, someone was still working inside. Across the endless rows of cubicles, dead employees were sitting at their desks, continuing the work they had left unfinished. Their lifeless hands moved across old keyboards, typing on dusty computers as if another normal workday was still going on. Inside abandoned cabins, skeletons remained seated with old files and documents scattered around them, frozen in their final moments at work. But the most terrifying sight was the tall black featureless ghosts moving silently through the offices. They walked between the desks, operating computers, organizing files, and maintaining the endless work routine. The office was no longer abandoned. It had become a workplace where the employees never truly left. And the work never came to an end. The explorers reached the executive floors of the Infinite Office Complex and discovered a massive conference room hidden deep inside the tower. As the doors opened, they witnessed a meeting that should have ended years ago. The final company meeting was still happening exactly as it was on that mysterious night. Dead executives sat silently around the long conference table, wearing old formal suits, frozen in the middle of their final discussion. Skeletons surrounded the scattered documents, files, and reports left behind from the unfinished meeting. At the front of the room, tall black featureless ghosts controlled the presentation screens, changing slides and continuing the business presentation as if nothing had happened. The explorers watched in horror as the same conversation, the same movements, and the same meeting repeated again and again, trapped inside the endless office forever. Deep inside the endless tower was the technology department, hidden far away from the abandoned office floors. As the explorers entered, they discovered something that defied all logic. Thousands of servers were still running inside the dark data center, glowing with strange lights even though the entire building had been without power for years. Dead IT workers remained around the machines, frozen at their workstations, while skeletons were hidden between the endless rows of server racks surrounded by old equipment and forgotten technology. But the most terrifying discovery was the black featureless ghosts moving through the server room. They were not attacking anyone. They were silently maintaining the systems, operating computers, repairing machines, and keeping the digital world alive. The technology department was no longer just an office, it had become a place where a forgotten digital world continued running forever. The explorers entered the corporate cafeteria of the Infinite Office Complex and discovered the strangest scene inside the entire building. The massive cafeteria was not empty. Dead employees were still sitting together during their final lunch break, frozen in the same moment when everything went wrong. They sat around tables with old meals, forgotten drinks, and unfinished conversations that would never continue. Around the silent cafeteria, skeletons remained seated near empty tables, surrounded by abandoned plates and office belongings left behind. But the most unusual sight was the black featureless ghosts working as cafeteria staff. They prepared food, carried trays, and served meals to the dead employees as if it was just another normal workday. The explorers realized the truth: this was not an abandoned cafeteria. It was a normal office day trapped forever in the world of the dead, where the final lunch break would never end. As the explorers tried to escape the Infinite Office Complex, they discovered the greatest secret hidden inside the impossible tower. The building was not just hundreds of floors tall. It had no end. Every elevator door opened to another endless office floor stretching into darkness, filled with abandoned desks, forgotten workstations, and the same terrifying routine repeating again and again. On every floor, dead employees continued working at their desks, while black featureless ghosts moved through the offices, maintaining the endless workplace. The explorers realized the truth: this tower was no longer a place where people came to work. It had become a never-ending world where the dead continued their daily routine forever. The Infinite Office Complex was not a building they could simply leave. It was an endless office that never allowed its employees to stop working. Today's third story is the platform where the crew still works. Far away from the coastline, deep in the middle of the endless ocean, stood a massive offshore platform that once operated day and night. The enormous structure was home to hundreds of workers who lived and worked there, keeping the facility running around the clock. But one mysterious night, something impossible happened. The entire crew disappeared without leaving any explanation. No emergency signals were found, no rescue team discovered the truth, and the massive platform was abandoned for years. Surrounded by endless waves and darkness, the offshore platform became a forgotten structure lost in the ocean. Rumors spread about the missing workers and the strange events that happened there. Years later, a team of 3 explorers arrived at the abandoned platform to uncover the truth behind the lost facility. The team included Emma Wilson, Olivia Carter, and Sophia Anderson. They had no idea that the platform was still active, and the crew had never truly stopped working. The explorers entered the main control center of the offshore platform and discovered something impossible. The facility was not completely abandoned, it was still running. Inside the massive control room, dead engineers were still sitting at their stations, wearing old work uniforms and watching the aging monitors in silence. Their lifeless hands remained near the controls, as if they were still managing the platform's operations. Around the control center, skeleton workers remained seated among old equipment, scattered documents, and forgotten tools, frozen in the final moments of their work. But the most terrifying discovery was the black featureless ghosts moving through the control room. They operated the systems, controlled the machines, and continued the final operation of the offshore platform as if nothing had ever happened. The explorers realized the platform was not abandoned. The crew had disappeared, but their work was still continuing forever in the middle of the endless ocean. The explorers moved deeper into the offshore platform and reached the living quarters where the missing crew members once spent their lives. Inside the rooms, they discovered that everything was frozen in time. Personal belongings, old photographs, and unfinished letters were still lying exactly where the workers had left them, as if they had disappeared in the middle of their daily lives. But the rooms were not empty. Dead crew members remained inside, sitting silently in their final moments. Their abandoned rooms still showed the lives they once lived before the mysterious disappearance. In other quarters, skeletons rested on old beds surrounded by forgotten belongings and personal items left behind. Meanwhile, the black featureless ghosts continued performing the daily routines of the missing workers. Walking through the living areas, maintaining the rooms, and repeating the lives of those who never returned home. The explorers realized the crew had vanished from the platform, but their routine had continued forever. Deep inside the offshore platform was a massive processing plant that once powered the entire facility. As the explorers entered, they discovered something impossible: the machines were still running despite years of abandonment. Huge industrial systems continued moving, warning lights flashed, and heavy machinery operated in the darkness as if the platform was still active. Around the processing area, dead maintenance workers remained near the machines, frozen while repairing equipment during their final moments. Their tools and workstations were still left exactly where they had been used. Between the massive machinery, skeleton workers were scattered across the industrial floors, surrounded by old equipment and forgotten tools. But the most terrifying sight was the black featureless ghosts controlling the giant systems. They operated the machinery, monitored the process, and kept the entire platform running. The explorers realized the truth: the offshore platform was trapped in its final working day, repeating the same operation forever in the middle of the endless ocean. The explorers reached the offshore platform cafeteria and discovered the final moments of the missing crew. Inside the large dining area, The cafeteria looked frozen in time. Dead workers were still sitting at the tables, wearing their old work uniforms, as if they were taking their final break before returning to duty. Old meals, forgotten drinks, and abandoned belongings remained scattered across the tables. The entire room looked like a normal crew break that had been interrupted by something impossible. Around the cafeteria, skeleton workers remained seated near old meals, trapped in the same moment forever. But the most terrifying sight was the black featureless ghosts working as cafeteria staff. They prepared food, carried trays, and served the forgotten crew members like it was another ordinary day on the platform. The explorers finally understood the truth. Nobody had left the platform that night. The final shift was still continuing after all these years. Before escaping the offshore platform, the explorers discovered a hidden underwater section buried beneath the massive structure. Deep below the ocean surface, they found the final recording left behind by the missing crew. The footage revealed the terrifying truth about what happened on the platform's last day. The workers had not simply disappeared. They had become connected to the platform itself, trapped inside the facility they once operated. Their work, their routines, and their final moments had become part of the endless operation. As the explorers finally escaped and moved away from the platform, they looked back at the enormous structure standing alone in the dark ocean. Across the entire facility, hundreds of black featureless ghosts continued working, operating machines, controlling systems, and maintaining the abandoned platform forever. The platform was not dead. It was alive with a crew that would never stop working. This was episode 165 of Dynamic Dark. Which story ruined your night? Tell us in the comments. The most terrifying comment will be pinned. Episode 166 is coming. Indian horror large space chudal stories are even darker and more cursed. Like, subscribe and press the bell icon. If you dare to step into the darkness again. Everyday new horror episode at 7:45 p.m. only on Dynamic Dark.